Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. So, no, I haven't lost my mind. What you're seeing in the vise is a pink daddy. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise is a Hanak H230 barbless hook. This one's at size 12, it's finished in black nickel and it's on a medium wire. Now the thread I'm going to be using to tie this fly is code A11, it's the trout line and it's a tan thread. Now first thing I want to do is get some wax onto the thread, and so I could barely get through that introduction for chuckling away to myself. I know some of you will be thinking, oh, you've lost the plot, a pink daddy long legs, that will never work. Well, please folks, believe me when I tell you it will work just fine and might even outfish your orange or your tan daddy, which you're probably more used to. So what I've done is I've already prepared the body of the fly, and as you can see it's a pink tube and I've melted the end with a lighter. So what I want is just longer than the length of the hook shank, and I'm going to come in with 3 or 4 wraps. I'm going to come under the body a couple of times, and then I'm going to get 2 or 3 wraps in front. That just stops it moving round. The next thing I'm going to do is trim the post. Now I'm using some old scissors here. This is my foam scissors, and I just want to remove that section. Next thing then, we're going to just pin this down. So I'll come in from the tip and just make sure that that's roughly covered up. Now I didn't start using this until very recently. It was one of the guys had said, oh, try a pink daddy. My goodness, it isn't half effective. So I thought I would share it with you today. Now the first thing I'm going to do is tie in the legs. I'm using pre-knotted legs here, as you can see, and I've already separated 3 for each side on the stalk. Now I'm running out of these fast, so if anyone can suggest where I can get some more knotted legs, please do so in the comment section. Now you can take off both these and tie them in at the same time. I like to do them separately, so I'm going to take off my first group of 3, and what I want to do is I don't want them all sticking together. It's a very rough looking fly, this. You don't want it particularly neat. So I'm just using my fingers to separate them fibres, and they will fight against you. They want to marry together. So I'm going to just dress them up, and I'm going to get a couple of turns in. Now you'll notice that the stalk's coming up at an angle, and that's so that these legs hang down below the fly. Although it doesn't really matter. Daddy long legs, every one I've seen on the water looks like it's been in the washing machine, so you don't need to be overly worried. But for the purposes of a neat tie, I have the legs just below the shank of the hook. So now I've tied in my side, I'm going to grab my other 3 legs, and again I'm just going to give them a little pull apart. They're definitely not keen on splitting. Bear with me, there we go. So again, I want to have the legs on the other side of the fly, about the same distance there, and then I can capture that in. Now the next section here, I'm going to tie in some wings. I don't always tie wings in, but because I'm doing it on the video, I am going to tie some wings in. I'm just using this old Cree cape. It's very cheap to buy. I only pretty much use it for this, if I'm honest, for daddies. And I've already selected a couple of feathers from the cape. Now what I want to do is just get the tips kind of lined up. These feathers are a little big actually, but I'm going to go with it. As I say, very often or not, I won't even bother tying them in. So once I've got them in place, I can just make sure they're sitting how I want them to before adding a little bit more wax to my thread. Bring that forward, then I can remove this excess. Just going to take these feathers from the top out the way. The next thing then is I've got another cylinder. I've got a pile of these actually because I'm going to tie up a few more. And what I'm going to do is just cut a slant in it, and then I can dress that up like so and start catching in that thorax colour. So just pull it back, make sure everything's still sitting where it should sit, like so. And then what I'm going to do this time is I am going to take some effort to tidy this up at the front and get ready for the wing. And what I'm using is this is just a natural cape. It's a kind of browny ginger colour. I've already selected a feather from the cape. Now as you can see, it's a large feather, so I can really have my pick off the length of the wing. Now I want it quite long, and I'm just going to add a little bit more wax, and I'm going to start catching that in. Now for some reason some of the fibres are trying to get in front of the stem. I have no idea why. Once I've kind of loosely got it in, I can finish my job of tidying up at the front, and then I'll bring my thread onto the shank of the hook just behind the eye. Next thing then, we can break the stem and start bringing our wing over. Now the thing with daddies is, although it's got foam and stuff, this works just as well on a slow intermediate line, just being stroked back under the surface. Such a versatile fly. It can be retrieved with a figure of 8, or it can be slowly pulled back with long strips, and it will always produce something for you, especially in the month of September. So my other favourite colours, to be honest, pink's my new favourite colour, but I love to fish the orange ones. I find, which is unusual, that the tan ones are the least effective amongst the collection of daddies I have. Orange and pink, they're my go-to, and very often what I'll do is I'm fishing a team of flies, I will fish the pink on the top dropper and the orange on the point. So what I'm going to do is just separate tops of the hackles here. I'm just using my finger to try and encourage them fibres to pull out to the side. Don't be overly worried about neatness. As I said, when you see daddies on the water, it looks like they've proper been through the mill, and they probably have. So once I'm content that I've got a space there, I can bring the thorax over the top. Excuse my fingers, just going to sweep back any loose fibres that I can, and then I'll pinch in my thorax. And because I'm using this really thin thread, I can use several turns, and it's not a problem. So before I come in with the whip finisher, I'm simply going to add a little bit of varnish to my thread so that I don't need to go in afterwards to try and finish the fly off. So I'll grab my whip finish tool, pull the post back up out the way, and and just make sure that's nice and secure. Don't be tempted to pull your thread. You'll end up making a hash of it. Trust me, I know through experience. So that's looking not too bad. Now, what I want to do next is I want to keep the post not huge, but I do want a little post there. What it does is it causes a disturbance in the water. When you pull it, it will make a little disturbance in the water, and that can often just attract trout into the fly, and then they can take it. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of hair sticking up. There's a couple of things you can do with this. You can just leave it and it'll be fine. You know, you still fish it. As I said, this is not a neat fly. It's meant to be messy. It's meant to keep the fish guessing. So I just tend to leave it like this. But if you wanted, you can get a small thin coat of UV resin, and if you pop it along the bottom of the shank here, it will keep your feathers in place. But I find some floatant just applied to the wing here and the hackle at the front keeps this fly fairly high in the water. Even when you want to fish it subsurface, it'll end up looking like a hot mess by the time you're finished. But there we go, the pink daddy. I haven't lost my mind. Tie some up, thank me later. Thanks for watching. Please remember to leave the video a like, and I'll see you all in the next one.